How can anyone, whether they want to work in a language school or privately from their own laptop anywhere in the world, create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, even if they are just starting out or have no teaching experience or ability? Hi, my name is Lynette Kim, and here on the TESOL Talk podcast, I aim to answer that very question.
There's a lot to be said for trial and error. And unfortunately, when you're an ESL teacher, particularly a new one, trial and error is really scary because when you hit error in the classroom, it's so obvious and you're standing before a group of students watching you do that. And so you really don't want to come off as not knowing what you're doing or not being capable of the job. So you try to avoid error at all costs. However, there is a certain point where you do have to try things out and you learn from your mistakes and you pivot and you work with it. So the best thing to do to build your confidence in the classroom, build rapport with your students, have a good relationship with them. They'll be more forgiving of any errors or mistakes that you make because they know that you're doing your best and you're really trying to add value for them. If you give empathy, you receive it back. So if you've got that good relationship, work on that and then start the trial and error. So by trial and error, what I mean is start trying new things, start trying new activities, things, maybe game activities, maybe adjusting tasks, like adapting them so that you're not teaching directly the way that the course book and the teacher's book is telling you to do, but you're sort of branching out and being more creative with the material. All of these things. Now, if something doesn't work, that's the error. Yes, it doesn't come off as great as you hoped it would when you go out of the class and you're on your own. Just do that quick self-assessment we've talked about before and think, what went wrong? How could I make that better? And there is your trial, and then you give it another go and you adjust it. So you'll work on activities, you'll work on tasks, you'll work on ways to explain things to students. And by doing so, you will improve. And guess what? Your confidence as a teacher is going to come from that improvement. So in order to gain that improvement, you have to take the risk. You have to get out there. But don't stress about that. You will come across teachers who are fantastic. They know everything about grammar. They're just like the best grammarians ever, or they're best with spelling or best with teaching pronunciation or whatever. And they go in there and they teach and they're good at it. But it doesn't mean that those are the lessons that students enjoy the most. And it doesn't mean that these teachers have all the confidence in the world either. Because like everybody else, they're still human and they could get tripped up with hairy questions or, they could be thrown. It might be that they're so good at these things even to compensate for the fact that they find it daunting in the classroom. So being really good at something like grammar is a great way to feel in control. But it's a hard way to live and work in the ESL classroom because the more you try to control it, the harder it gets. So to build up your confidence, first build up that rapport with students and then try new things. And as you get better at new things, as you get better at activities, explaining things different ways, you'll learn what works. And that's what's going to give you confidence because you'll know this works. I'm getting better at that. You'll have better ways of approaching things, better ways of demonstrating things, better ways of setting up the lesson, of presenting things, better ways of getting the students to interact. And as you get better at all these things, you are going to get confident. You're going to walk into the class and you're going to know exactly what you're doing. You're going to know how to do it right. And you're going to know you're going to get the results that you're after. And students are going to be more than satisfied with that and enjoy the lesson. That's where your confidence as a teacher comes from. It doesn't come from having wonderful, knowledge on certain types of things. It comes from experience, but it comes also from those relationships that you have with your students, that building up of that rapport. So work on your empathy, work on your rapport, work on self-assessment, continual, not harsh, but continual, realistic. Yep, I didn't explain that really well, and how can I do that better? And go in and do it better, and then go do it better again, and then you'll get it to a point where you don't have to think about that thing anymore because you've got that nailed, and you walk in and that's second nature. And then you work on how you present materials to start the lesson off, how you get students engaged in the lesson topic, and you know how to do that so well, so it doesn't matter anymore what topic you're hit with, what lesson. Even if you have to walk in cold in a lesson to replace another teacher suddenly, you can do it from cold because you know what works, and that thing that works is going to work for no matter what lesson you're teaching. And then you don't need to worry about, I don't know all the activities, I haven't had time to prepare because I've been thrown in the deep end. It doesn't matter because you've experienced, you've practiced, you've done trial and error, you've self-assessed, and you know how to introduce different types of tasks. You know how to adapt tasks, and you'll be able to do that on the fly as well. And here's where your confidence will build. So you have to take the risk, take calculated risks, do it in small things and build up, but improve constantly through that self-assessment, that trial and error, and keep moving forward. And it doesn't take long. You'll start building confidence up in one thing, then another. And before you know it, it will all be second nature and natural to you. And, you'll realize one day, I'm not nervous to go in the class and teach anymore. I can just walk in there. They're human beings I'm going to interact with. They're fellow people that I will enjoy time with. And you won't even be anxious thinking, will I stuff this up? Or how am I going to explain this? Or how am I going to do that? Because you've got that confidence to know that you can.